Thanks for listening to the Swearing In podcast, where you'll hear the origin stories of those who chose to serve. So ground your gear, take a seat, and listen up. The Swearing In podcast starts right now.
Hey, hey, every day. Hey, hey, every day. Air Force all the way. Air Force all the way. Hey, hey, every day. Hey, hey, every day. Air Force all the way. Air Force all the way.
Hello and welcome to the Swearing In podcast. I'm your host, Marty Smith. Today, my guest is Air Force Master Sergeant retired Ivan Tron Thomas. Tron grew up in Wagener, South Carolina. He graduated from Wagener Salley High School in 1992. He then joined the Air Force and went to basic training in 1994 as a 1 Charlie 6 space operator. He attended technical school at Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. His first assignment was to the CONUS Ground Station at Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado in 1994. His next assignments include Cavalier Air Force Station, North Dakota in 2001, Buckley Air Force Base in 2003, Thule, Greenland in 2005, back to Buckley Air Force Base in 2006, and Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska in 2011. Tron retired in 2015. Now, this concludes your pre-brief, so let's get on with the interview. Joining me today is retired Air Force Master Sergeant Ivan Thomas, better known as Tron Thomas. Tron, thanks for joining me today, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Ah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this story. Been looking forward to this story since I started the podcast, which you blew me off way back when.
I had my reasons. Now the masses get to hear if they want to hear.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Tron, tell me, I've known you for years.
Yes.
In fact, I had to look it up. I was like, what is his first name? How did you get the nickname of Tron?
Tron is Swahili for pretty face.
Really?
No, that's all bullshit. But I always like to say that.
Pretty face.
My name is Ivan Bertrand Thomas. My middle name is Bertrand. And so
Bertrand?
Bertrand, Bertron. So that's where Tron comes from. So
You remember Bert Duplessis?
I do.
He was Bertrand.
Bert and I have a relationship because he is good Bert or evil Bert.
That's true.
Depending on the day. Sometimes I'm evil Bert. We used to like Bert. He was the only person who was allowed to call me Bert because he was Bert. So I used to see him. He'd be like, good Bert. I'd be like, evil Bert. So yeah.
How did you guys figure that out about each other?
When I first,
I mean, his first name, you see it printed.
His name is Bertram.
Yeah.
So not many people I'm Bertrand. So I'm not.
So you had to say something.
Well, what's up, man? And that was that. That was 24 years ago when I met Bert.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. 2 tall, skinny dudes. So
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Good Bert, evil Bert, depending on the day. So yes, Tron is short for Bertrand. But most of my family calls me Tron.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. So depending on what you call me is how I know you. So
all right, fair enough.
So even the Air Force folks who call me Tron, that's more like family. If you calling me Ivan, usually a bad girlfriend or a bill collector.
Supervisor?
Yeah, some shit like so whatever, you know.
Where'd you grow up in, man?
I grew up in rural South Carolina, a small town called Wagener, South Carolina.
Okay.
Born in Columbia, South Carolina. It's about 50 minutes away from Columbia, about 50 minutes away from Augusta, Georgia.
Whoa.
Yeah, country is an okra sandwich, man. Dirt road country. Yeah. Chocolate Mayberry is what we call it.
Did you have a basketball hoop out back?
Oh man, we had hoopers. We had
dirt courts,
you name it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go to high school?
Wagener Salley High School is a combination of 2 towns, Wagener and Salley.
Oh, wow. Is that small?
Yeah, but there were about 380 people in my entire high school.
But a range of 100 miles to get all those people in.
The towns are probably 20 minutes away from each other.
Oh, okay.
But they were just small, and they combined the schools for one high school. So small country school, real rural.
Yeah.
When
did you graduate?
I graduated high school in 1992.
So what were you going to do?
That was a
College
good
basketball scholarship?
I was a scrub. But I was 4'11". I was the shortest kid in my high school till my senior year. I was 4'11" my freshman year of high school.
4'11"?
5'2" my sophomore year. I sprang to 5'7" my junior year, and when I graduated high school, I maybe was 6 foot. I grew 2 inches after I joined the Air Force.
When you graduated? Why couldn't that come a year earlier?
Man, I'm 6'2" with the biggest Napoleon contest.
Oh,
man.
my goodness.
Yeah. And I was surrounded by giants. Like my stepdad was 6'9". My mom was like 5'10". Like all her brothers were like, her shortest brother's my height.
Yeah.
And her tallest brother was like 6'5". So
yeah.
Like my stepdad was 6'9", his mom was like 6 foot. So he had female cousins 6'3" and 6'4". I'm surrounded by all these giants, and I'm a runt. So
did they have conversations about you in that?
They would talk over me.
Will he grow?
They literally used to ask me that because they saw the rest of the family. Like,
sure.
Yeah, but I'm the runt. But I grew. I made it to 6'2", but I'm still like I don't think I'm tall.
Oh yeah.
I'm surrounded by giants.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So you still that 6'2" point guard then?
Yeah, that's what I like to tell myself. Yeah, my youngest brother's 6'7".
Jeez, really?
About 300 and change, 6'7". Yeah.
So what's the plans?
So I was trying to get up out of that chocolate Mayberry ASAP. I
gotta go, right?
I knew it wasn't for me, so I had.
Well, what was your option? Stay there.
I was going to Army. I was gonna go into the Army. This was
so military was set. You were going to go military.
Okay. I started off with a community college.
Yeah.
Let me back up. Start off with a community college.
All right.
Had a little girlfriend at the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't treating me right. And I was like, I gotta do something, man. So prior to me going to community college, I know what happened. I was trying to go to the Army, but my mom refused to sign. She's like, I was 17. She's like, I'm not signing. You're gonna be pissed with me.
Yeah.
Do it when you're 18. All right, cool. Yeah. So when I turned 18, I found an Army recruiter. He was on me. Man, this guy was on me. Like I had respectable little scores for the ASFAB in high school. So all 4 branches were hitting me up. But the Army dude, he was relentless.
Yeah.
He was really trying to pimp me, and I was just like, all right, whatever, man. So I went to a quick delayed enlistment, and I had a ship out date for the Army. I had went to the hotel, Fort Jackson.
Oh, damn.
Oh, bro. Fort Jackson, Columbia, South Carolina. Spent the night at a hotel.
Was that where the MEPS was?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Got up the next morning from my hotel room, had a 5 a.m. breakfast or whatever it was about to go get on the bus. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want to do this shit. Stopped in the hallway. My grandma lived in the city.
Yeah.
Grandma, I don't want to go to the Army. Please pick me up. Hung up the phone. All the rest of them guys went and got on that bus, left out. My grandma came and picked me up.
You hadn't signed anything yet?
I hadn't signed the last swearing.
Yeah.
So she got me up out of there. So for the next several months, so the Army guys like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, hey man, I don't feel good about this shit. This is my life. What are you gonna do? I was like, I ain't going into the Army. So then the Navy guys, they say, hey, we heard that you don't want to go to the Army. Are you interested in going to the Navy? And I was like, I don't like the water. Have a good day, Mr. Thomas. Click, click. So I met up with some Marine guys. I'm checking out the whole thing. I'm riding around with the Marine guys, and I'm taking little trips with them. And honestly, I'm super impressed with these dudes. Like, man, these Marine dudes seems tight.
Man, they're sharp.
He's sharp, right? But they had one guy in the back with him who was he had just got done with basic training. And he had the nastiest asshole attitude I ever saw.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I don't like this. So
Let's change him.
Yeah, it turned me off.
Yeah.
So I was like, So then I went to the Air Force recruiter, right? And in true Air Force recruiter fashion, they were like, oh, you want to get in? We'll see what we got for you. There's a lot of people coming around here. We'll see if we can fit you in.
Now, this is 90.
This is 1990. Oh, shit, this is 92 still.
Still 92.
I graduated 92. Yeah, this is 92. It's still 92.
All right, so tail end of Desert Storm.
Desert Storm. One of my buddies like, hey, man, what you doing? They're going to the desert. Don't join right now.
Sentiment is still high for the military.
Yeah, it's good look. So The Air Force is giving me the old blow off. I'm like, why is this hot chick not talking to me, man? Fuck. Fuck these ragamuffins. So I went back and they were like, hey, man, well, yeah, actually, we will take you. Huh? We got the score, but the Army guys won't let go of your scores. So
they got that contract there. Right?
Yeah, it's like, fuck that. So they wouldn't let go of my shit. Like, hey, man, you can take the ASVAB again for us, and then we can do that. I was like, word, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, but you gotta wait 3 months because your shit here is still valid. So I'm like, all right. So I think I was maybe working at an arcade in the mall at the time.
Yeah.
Kids, they had these things called arcades. Anyways, working at the arcade and I'm partying with my cousin.
Sure.
He's like, hey, all right, don't you got an ASVAB test tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, shit. It's like, it's 3 a.m, man. Let's get some sleep. I'm like, hey. Wake up, have a party about 3, go take the test at 7, trash.
Oh, it was?
Oh, I bombed that shit, right? The Air Force dude was like, man, your scores ain't working. I'm like, fuck. I was like, all right, give me another couple months. So I was like, let me get my shit together. I took 3 months, read some books, went back. He's like, hey, man, your scores, we got, we're going to put you into delayed enlistment, all right? My recruiter liked me. He called me up like, hey, man, we got this cool job. I didn't want you to go guarantee. What was it? There was guaranteed or there's open general.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want you going open general. You seem like a smart kid. I don't want you to be a cooker.
Yeah, lock that job in.
Yeah, he's like, let's just wait till some shit comes up. So one day he called me like, hey, man, I got this job. You want to come read for it? And it's like, all right, cool. It said, work with Space Command, NASA, weather system. I'm like, bet. Sound on the dotted line and that was 90. That was the end of 92, but I think 93 at this point. I think by April of 94, I was out of there.
So you became a 1 Charlie 6. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize you went your whole career.
I'm a space baby.
Nice,
a rare space baby.
Does it occur to you now? Because that decision to not get on the bus, right? That makes sense to us now in our age. But did it occur to you how key of a decision that was to you? At 18 that you made that decision? Does it kind of surprise you? Like, oh, geez, I did do the right thing.
I actually thought that pretty soon after joining the Air Force. And I had a friend who was in the Army. He was like, I came home on leave and he was telling me about the Army shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I was like, he's like, yeah, they still put hands on you in the Army. You wouldn't be talking that shit. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, I totally joined around. I made a great decision.
But I mean, that's so key, and you made it so quick. You're just like, I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes that doesn't, the ramifications of that don't hit you until later, and you're like, oh, damn.
I'll say for me.
I was 15 steps from the bus.
Literally. For me, I've discovered when I don't listen to my gut, it's cost me more.
Yeah.
So anytime my gut screams at me, it's always right.
Yeah.
I don't always listen. That's the problem.
Right.
That day was screaming at me. And then now I know it was a huge life decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Could have been a totally different person.
My gut's always wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
What you doing, Marty?
I sometimes I follow, sometimes I don't.
This is why you got this Tron license. Somebody's looking out for you.
Maybe,
My gut only screams when it feels like very much life situations.
That's good.
Money situations is life, but I'm not. It don't show up when I want it to. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
If I'm on Vegas,
that's the key, right there.
I'm like,
hey, what are you in busy signal? Come on, give me something.
Doesn't show up then. Like, hey, that might cost you your life if you join the Army, or if you marry that girl. That's bad news. Except for that one time when I did marry that girl and I didn't listen to my gut.
Yeah, I've done the same.
God bless her.
I've done the same. Okay. What year are we talking about now? With all those years delayed, are we still in 92?
We're in 93 now. So,
okay, we're in 93.
We're fast forward to 93. I signed my little job.
Put your hand up.
Put my hand up, and then I don't leave till April of 94 for basic training.
94?
Yeah, bro.
A year delayed?
I think I signed in 93 of December or January. It was like 6 months maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But still.
6 months. 6 months not to fuck up. My recruiter was calling me like, you ain't smoking no weed, are you? Like, no, man. Would you get arrested? You would tell me, I was like, bro, I'm cool.
Right. That's tenuous. 6
months for a knucklehead kid.
Sure.
I get it. But no, I kept my nose clean, man.
But at the same time, it's nice to know I got something.
Yeah,
You know?
I was so.
I don't have to work at the arcade for the rest. I know I'm going to something bigger and better.
I knew I was going to something different. It had to be better than where I was from.
Because you had friends, like we all did, who still didn't know what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you may go back years later. They still in that same spot.
Some of my friends were still living with mom and dad when I came back a decade later.
That's how it was for me. Once I knew the military thing was like, oh, okay. I'm just gonna just bop around, do something for whatever months, and then I'm off.
I mean, I worked at a factory. I worked at a welding factory. I used to make what were some of those jobs I had? I used to make lawnmower tires. The
Really?
wheels, yeah. I had a little welding thing.
Oh yeah,
All that shit. I worked in an arcade.
time clocks,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, right?
I worked at a haunted plantation. I dressed as a ghost for like the whole month of October, just scaring
Really?
people off. Yeah, I was still gonna work. I was gonna get some cheese somehow before I was out
Hey,
there.
just get some money, but none of that you have to worry about. You can just have fun doing it.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, come the day it's time to go, right?
Yeah,
Basic.
Yeah.
Where did you go back to MEPS or
Back to Columbia, South Carolina. Back to MEPS.
they flew you out of there?
Me out of there.
What time did you get there?
Oh man.
At night?
Night.
Everybody gets at night.
It was night. I remember what the fuck.
Everybody gets there.
Why
at
are we
night.
getting here at night?
So they can make it worse for you.
Oh, good job. Shit was a blur. Like I do remember. I
So
remember,
they can hit you with that
remember
hat on the
showing
yellow
up with a
line,
fucking
man.
bag at nighttime in San Antonio. Like this is weird.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I haven't heard anybody who's got there during the day.
I didn't even think about it.
That's why I ask
Yeah.
that question every time.
Yeah, it's just that fucking trauma. Just like pew, nighttime.
25 people I've interviewed, and they're like, oh, yeah, at night.
Makes sense. Get them prepared for war. Anytime we can call them in.
So what did you think? Anybody prep you before you went? Oh, wait, let me back up.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a history of military in your family?
Oh, this is how. So yeah, and part of the reason I joined was from listening to some of my older cousins and uncles.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I had an uncle that was in the Navy,
Okay.
and he was like, "Hey, boy, don't join the Navy. I know you. You ain't built for it." He's like, "Yeah, you on here whistling." I was like, "Fuck!" I was whistling. This one day he's like, "Fuck you doing?" I was like, "Whistling? Let me tell you something. You better not join no Navy whistling." I was like, "What are you talking?" You'll find out what that means on the ship. Apparently, if you were whistling on a Navy ship, at least when he was in, it was a sign that you were open to homosexuality.
Oh, jeez.
So I was like, don't. So the Navy was off. I had no intentions of the Navy.
Done. Job well done.
Done.
Talk me out of that one.
Copy. Then I had an older cousin who, when I say older, these are like my parents' age. South like.
Right.
So he was in the Marines, and I'm thinking like, what do I do? And I'm like, hey, cuz, like you were in the Marines? He's like, yeah, I don't have a join the goddamn
Oh, he
Marines.
said the same.
I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I was in for 4 years, never do it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Then I had a cousin who was in the Air Force.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he was he was a cop. He came from Italy, and he had orders to Grand Forks and got out. And he's like, oh, the worst thing I did was ever get out of fucking Air Force. Like, join if you can, man. I was like, for real? He's like, yeah.
Really?
Go to the Air Force, man. I had the best time. I was like, why'd you get out? You were trying to send me to North Dakota. All right, bet. Thanks, cuz. Then I had my other uncle who was in the Army. And
You had them all covered.
All
All
covered.
services covered.
I had one more cousin who was in,
Coast Guard.
no, he was actually an officer in the Marines. And
Oh, okay.
he told me to go to Air Force too. He's like, go to Air Force. Matter of fact, this is before I signed anything. If you can, try to get to Colorado. I was like, what? Why Colorado? He's like, it's just, they're making advances out there. Just if you can get in the Air Force, try to get
Wow,
to
way
he said
back
that
then.
shit. He said that shit to me back then. Crazy. But the selling point was my Uncle Junior. He was in the Army.
Yeah.
He's like, you trying to do? I was like, well, I'm thinking about going to Air Force. He's like, what you want to do that shit for? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, y'all don't do shit. You don't even go to the field. All you do is dress up in your little blues and sit in some temperature controlled room in the office. That's what you want to do? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that sounds exactly like what the fuck I want to do. Why would I go in the Army and sweat? I was like, thanks, son. He was the selling point. I'm like, I'm totally going to the Air Force. He's the reason.
No kidding.
He tried to sell the Army. I'm like, that sounds terrible for
Yeah,
me.
that's not.
All you
what
gonna
I
do
wanna
is dress in your little suit and be soft. I'm like, oh, okay. You don't know your nephew. That is precisely who I am. So that's how I got to that advice about joining the military.
What'd you think of basic? What was the first few days like?
I'll be honest with you. I thought the shit was kind of funny. I'm like, are they for real?
Yeah.
It took me a minute. I figured some things out.
You didn't have a problem being away from home?
Oh, no.
Anything like that, right?
The only problem I had, if I'm gonna be honest, everybody got their phone calls on the payphone and shit, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Everybody got a hold of their parents except for me. The whole week, I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm calling. No contact with my mom, none.
Really?
Turns out she had just left my stepdad. Like, I went to basic training and she left him. I'm like, "What the fuck?" And then I hear from like a couple weeks later, like, "Hey, no, I ain't talked to you." I got a letter like, "I left and moved." I'm like,
she just waiting for you to get out of the house to do that?
probably.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. But aside from that, I thought basic training was kind of fun.
Sure. So you weren't nervous, you weren't letting the mind games get to you.
Man,
You've been around other people.
I knew they had to feed me, and I knew I was gonna get paid.
Yeah.
And we had a sister flight right across from the hall. I was like, "This is awesome." You know,
Yeah.
It's like, so I was like,
You had no problem with the physical
that was the easy part
stuff
for me.
Yeah. Okay.
So the physical stuff, nah. I was like, "Why be out of these classes? I fucking studying here. I'm gonna learn shit." So that's what I wasn't expecting, but
Yeah.
ended up being good for me. Yeah, I thought
Did
basically.
you have that one guy in your flight that's just like, that guy's out there, man?
Oh, there was
Or did you have several?
several of those, dude. Shit, I might have been included as one of the people who were out there. I was like, oh, there were some characters. I can't remember them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing that like made me like, oh my God, I hope I never see that guy again. He's nuts.
Yeah, sure.
Just, it was good because, I mean, you're meeting, me being a country boy, you're meeting all these people from not just across the country. There were some people from across the world. There was a guy from South Africa in my flight.
Really?
There was a guy from Mexico who could barely speak any fucking English. God, show me your identity. Like, what the fuck?
What are you saying?
This motherfucker can't speak English. So that was my first like introduction to people who weren't from the South. Just,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, like
That mishmash is interesting. It's either interesting, upsetting. You know, it depends on how your experience is.
it was, for me, it was eye opening. I look back like I'm glad I got to see, in the whole time in the military, just even being stationed in places like Nebraska or North Dakota. That's still a whole other different culture, man.
Yeah, you cross the line going west.
Yeah,
right.
It's just a lot different
world.
Yeah, so I was glad for the culture shock. And coming to Denver, this is my first assignment in Denver. That was a culture shock for me. So
yeah, I've heard that before too.
yeah, I mean, I get to Denver in the '90s, and it's still the remnants of gang culture is still here. Like, it's
there was some Crips and Bloods there for a while.
Yeah.
5 Points was bad.
I used to go right outside of Lowry. I used to go play basketball, and like, this dude still got fucking Jerry curls.
Yeah.
I called my cousin, like, they still got Jerry curls, and they were like, "Hey man, get off my phone. I have no time for the bullshit." He didn't believe me. But they were banging. Yeah. So that
was all the California stuff that came out here.
Yeah.
Boulder was a big, probably still is, east-west traffic point. Federal was horrible. Colfax was terrible.
I spent time in all those places. So I'm cruising on Federal on Sundays. Like, this was a culture shock for me. So
Yeah. You finished basic. You're out to Vandenberg.
Vandyland for 3 weeks.
That was all that was?
Back then when they were Pop-Tart, they used to call us. You don't even get phase whatever. By the time you get a phase 3 or whatever, it's time to go.
What were they training you on? CGF?
So,
well,
no.
they this was before ESOP, before ESPT, before Space 100. What did they call it back then?
So when I got my rip from basic, it said Lowry Air Force Base.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. And then they were like, "Yeah, actually that's closed." I'm like, what? It's Lowry's closed.
Yeah.
When I arrived on Lowry, it closed officially 2 days later. The official closing. Yeah.
They actually flew you here.
No.
Oh.
So Vandenberg, once I finished basic, I actually had to stay in San Antonio a week because they didn't know what to do with me because your school's not ready. So I had to stay in San Antonio an extra week. That's when I found out you're actually going to California. You're going to Vandenberg.
Oh, okay.
So they shipped me. So they shipped me out to Vandyland. I'm there for 3 weeks. So it was kind of new. They were transitioning from Lowry to like the Space 100 or whatever they do.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got all the guts of space.
Yeah.
And then I think I knew my orders already. Then we got sent to Eastside that was in Colorado Springs. So
okay.
Went to Vandenberg, stationed at Buckley, July 28th, 1994. I arrived in Stapleton. My sponsor picked me up and took me to the dorms on Lowry Air Force Base, Ghost Town. Found out that Monday when I report the official closing of Lowry was actually that day.
Sure, they didn't catch your orders before that.
But I lived on Lowry. I had a different experience than a lot of new Air Force guys because I lived in the officers' quarters. My dorm was an officer. I had a queen size bed.
Really?
I had my own fucking bathroom.
Yeah.
I shared a kitchenette, and that went on.
That's okay.
From 94 to 96,
damn.
Yeah, I had my own spot, man. It was like an apartment. It was not a dorm. We had no dorm manager. We came in when it was we pleased.
Yeah.
It was probably not very good for my airman development.
No, that's horrible.
It's terrible. I'm like, the fuck I want to do. It set a precedent. So they just left us, but we also didn't have amenities like food. We didn't have a gym.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
You work shifts. You just they left us to our own device.
So you were at Lowry, but you were working
at Buckley.
At Buckley at CGS.
CGS, yes.
So, wow.
Yeah.
So I had to, we'll get to that. We'll get to that when you come back to Sibbers.
Okay.
For CGS. So
I'll get to it.
What was that? What was CGS? Something ground station.
CONUS Ground
Station. Mm-hmm. All right. So that was missile warning before Sibbers.
Before Sibbers. Before it was Sibbers, there was that, the DSP at CGS, along with OGS and the rest of the story.
Right.
So I am there. I'm at CGS from 94.
Right.
Till in 99, they decided they're going to start grabbing troops to stand up Sibbers.
For that whole time?
And I mean, in actuality.
So, do you remember, did you ever stop at the Commander Club then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I missed that little bar.
I remember our first commander's call my first commander's
was
call.
over at the Commander Club?
Commander Club, and the commander was like, all right, the first round's on me.
Oh.
That's how we started.
Really?
Because, we would have our commander's call.
Yeah.
We had a commander's call at the Commander Club, and I got a first round. I was 20, by the way. So nobody asked no questions. Yeah.
Now, for those who are listening, the Commander Club was an old pilots club on Buckley that used to be a National Guard base. Mm-hmm. And they moved basically all the guts of missile warning in there. And then it grew up into an Air Force base. But the Commander Club was great because I remember they didn't tear that thing down till 2002.
It was a while. It was a few years.
So I remember when I got up there in 2000, you go in there, floor's all warped. It was awesome. There's so much history there.
Real military type shit.
Yeah, that's the Top Gun bar, man, And those National Guard pilots knew how to live it up.
They did. And when I got to Buckley, it was a little different because, in Sibbers they have multinational, they have bilateral, they have Australia. So when I got to CGS, there was an agreement with a sister service. I worked with Navy dudes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. that was a different culture.
Really?
Oh, man. I'm an E3. You're an E2. You're going to do the fuck I say. A lot of cursing, a lot of ringing. A lot of the professionalism's a lot different from the Navy.
Right.
You can edit this out, right?
Yeah, sure.
For instance.
If I feel like.
Okay. Yeah. For instance.
It might add to the story.
For instance, we'll be sitting on screen, on scope, whatever you would call it. And one of our Navy brethren might say, yeah, my shit gotta breathe. And pull his dick out.
What?
And was slapping on the console. We were like, what the fuck?
Are you serious?
I'm serious as a heart attack. I remember there was a young woman next to me oh my God, he's doing it again. I'm like, bitch, what you mean again? Mike's always doing it. I had heard rumors, but it was wild. Navy dudes were wild, man. So that was my introduction to the service. So I didn't have a dorm manager, but I had crazy Navy dudes.
Yeah, no kidding. That's enough. God, you stayed there
from 94 to 2001, actually. So from 99 to January of 2001, I'm there watching them trying to stand up Sibbers.
Right.
So I'm ready to go. And they're like, we're going to senior cab for a year or two. So I go to Cavalier.
They sent you to Cavalier.
In January 2001, I finally leave Buckley. I didn't think I was ever leave. You know what I mean? So
well, you did a PCA, right?
I did a PCA from CGS to Sivers. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'm in I'm gonna hear another 40. No,
There's your 94 to 2001.
I thought I was gonna stay, and then they sent me to Cavalier in 2001, and I stayed there for 2 years.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Radar site.
Yeah, and that was good. I needed to learn something different. And radar was good. Yeah. At the time, I hated it.
Sure. Why wouldn't you?
First, and then I look back and
You go from Colorado.
Man, it made me appreciate it so much. But I'm glad for the time I spent.
Yeah.
Coldest place I ever been in my life, and I was stationed in Thule.
Whoa, really?
I got to Cavalier, North Dakota.
Endless wind.
Humidity, wind.
And when it gets cold, it gets icy.
Flat.
Yeah.
I got there, it was -35. And the dude was like, oh, you must be the new guy. You just missed the cold snap. I was like, what?
Oh, God.
He told me it was -50 in December. I'm like, where am I? It was so cold. We drive to the parking lot of the radar, and then you have to walk to the radar. And it's so cold, you want to cry.
Yeah.
I'm so serious. I'm like, this is bullshit, but you can't cry. It's so cold. It's just, yeah, bone chilling. Windy, wet, flat. Salute to the people of North Dakota. And, and in the summer, it's 100 degrees and 100% humidity.
One of the coldest places I ever been was Oklahoma.
Now, Midwest, you gotta be tough to be in the fucking Midwest.
It's just, it's constant wind.
Mm-hmm.
It's just some days are harder, some days are less, but it's always wind. If wind stops, you're like, what? What's going on? We got a tornado coming or what?
By April of 01, I was walking around with shorts and t-shirts, and it was 20 degrees.
Your body been changed.
I got acclimated so fast.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So how long did you stay at CAV?
I did 2 years at CAV.
Okay.
And I came right back to Buckley.
So 04?
So I went
03.
there 03. So from 03. Okay. So I'm back at Buckley.
You in E5 by then?
I made E5. In North Dakota. Okay. Better. Ain't no TV, ain't no radio. It is the gym and books. So I made E5.
Oh, really?
That's it. If you can make a trip to Canada, you're lucky.
Yeah.
And Grand Forks was an hour and a half south. So I had to go there for hospital, commissary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did 2 years there and came right back to Buckley.
Damn. Well, okay, so you're back now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're a full-fledged Sivers guy.
Oh, man, I'm in the mix.
Working mission.
Yep.
You didn't, they didn't send you, you didn't have to go to Vandenberg first?
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I ended up going to Vandenberg after that 1 3-week stint like 5 times after that.
Did you go for Cavalier? For the radar?
I did. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I got orders to CAV, went to school in Vandenberg again, right? Go to CAV.
Yeah.
CAV, I was like, hey, I want to go back to Buckley. Okay. Well, this time I get to be a real
Sivers guy.
Yeah. So they send me to school to Vandenberg right after that.
Sit on that simulator.
Yeah. Then I come back to Buckley, and I'm a mission crew chief for a couple of years.
Right.
Yeah. That's 03, 04, 05. Then they send me to Thule. I must have pissed somebody off. Pretty sure I did. I was like, I just got back. I've been here 2.5 years. Fuck, y'all sent me to Greenland. You know, I left North Dakota.
Did they think you needed a short tour or what?
I probably pissed somebody off, man.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you had to rotate through short and long tours, right?
Unless you piss somebody off.
Yeah, that could be.
I'm pretty sure I pissed. Well, what I found out later on was a superintendent of mine at CGS told me, like, you know, you were supposed to go, you got orders over here twice in your 6.5 years. You were supposed to go to CAV. I shot them down. You ain't needed that. You and your wife was going through shit. Then you were supposed to go to Thule. I shot that one down too.
Oh, he was watching out for you.
He watched out for me.
But he whiplashed on you. I mean, well, it all whiplashed.
By the time I came back, he was gone.
Yeah. And he couldn't, yeah.
So, and then I ended up going to both places anyway. That's some shit. These rat bastards, boy, they got their due. So he knocked him down and somebody else gave him, he's like, oh, he's supposed to go here. So
right.
I ended up going to both places. Both of them are a blessing. So.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, man. When I went to Thule, it was so much camaraderie, so much brother and sister.
I've heard that.
Yeah. It's just certain.
Y'all miserable together? And y'all right there together.
But we weren't miserable.
Oh, no?
Man, I had a ball because they make sure you have so much that you can be involved in because you can't go anywhere.
That's smart.
I mean, I got there in June and I was like, why is this? They took me to the club, the Top of the World Club. And it was like, I don't know, 10 at night when we finally got in the club. We walked out just doing a smoke a cigarette like at 1 in the morning. I'm like, the fuck? Why is the sun still up? He's like, oh yeah, nobody told you? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, the sun's going to be up for 3 months continuously.
It's still wild.
And he's like,
so wild.
When the winter hits, you won't see the sun for 3 months. I'm like, what?
That's wild too.
They don't put that shit in the package, Marty.
No.
So, but it was great, man. I had a great experience. People were tight. The job was cool. It was just like, I got lifelong friends out of that place I still talk to.
No kidding.
To this day. Yeah.
Ah, that's awesome.
So I got some real brothers and sisters because I went to Greenland. I kicked and screamed. It was like one of the best things for me.
Really?
So yeah. The only thing was bad was being away from my kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's unaccompanied, right? So
yeah, Thule for sure.
Yeah.
So, but it was a good time. 10 months, it was fantastic. Those last 2 months, you figure out like, oh shit, you can't leave this place.
What do you mean?
Like it's cabin fever. Like the only way to and from this island is plane.
Yeah.
That's it. So then that's shitty. And then time to go. So yeah, that was a great time.
And you went where?
I came back to Buckley. Couldn't get enough.
By way of Vandenberg this time?
I went,
because you come back as mission or system, right?
So that's right. When I came back to Buckley, went to Greenland, but before I went to Greenland, I had to stop in Vandenberg to learn about that radar.
Right.
Came back from Greenland. Now I'm going to come back to Buckley and I'm going to be a GSO.
Yeah.
Get to go back to Vandenberg again.
Right.
So get my little GSO and that's 2006. I go to school in Vandenberg like August, and I arrive in Buckley, it's September 06, I signed in.
Okay. All right.
So, I'm getting my little training. I'm got my bearings as a ground systems operator. And
now wait, let's look at this real quick. You came in 94.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're at 2006. Where was your reenlistment at?
That will be in North Dakota.
So you're in North Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, hey, do you want to re-enlist? What were your first thoughts? Were you like, am I going to make this a career? Did you know that from the beginning?
Man, let me tell you something. What I was thinking about, up 17 years into this bitch, I was like, I might get out. And that's because they were trying to send me to Omaha. So I'm like, what the fuck? So, yeah, I re-enlist in Cavalier.
But why? Did you have thoughts of not just like, hey, let's just do this hitching?
Man, I'll be honest with you. Probably shortly after me joining, I've had thoughts of not I don't know, this shit was for me.
So what talked you into re-enlisting?
And 2 daughters I had to feed.
Yeah.
And they had a big old 60 grand bonus.
That'll do it.
Like
yeah.
60 grand.
That's right. One Charlie's had the great bonus for a long time.
Yeah. It was my second bonus, actually. I got one early. I got one in 97.
Oh, yeah.
And then they got one, that second one, the last one.
Yeah, that's hard to beat.
It was like 60 grand. I was like, damn, can I go overseas and enlist? I was trying to get the...
Okay. I always like to ask that question because sometimes it's a real crossroads for some people.
It was a crossroads. I think I had been in, it's only 8 years, but that was extending me out. So
now you're going to go over that 10-year mark, which is...
So you start weighing shit.
I guess I better go.
Yeah. So this brings...
Oh my God, this adventure.
So this is how we end up back. I end up back in Buckley.
Yeah.
2006. I am ground system operating. And then one December morning, I get a call saying, hey, come on in, Operation Golden Flow. You got to have a drug test.
Yeah.
All right, cool, whatever. Well, a few weeks, months go by. Go to work one day. What are you doing here? I'm here to work. What are you talking about? Like, hey, man, you're DNIF, do not fly status. Medically, you can't work. I'm like, what are you talking about? They send me to the commander's office, and they're like, the acting first sergeant at the time was like, hey, we don't know what's wrong with you, man. You just said you're medically DNIF. You can't work. Come back tomorrow. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? You're like, why am I DNIF?
Which is total bullshit, because if you're DNIF, they got to write a little doc sheet.
Right. Yeah, you just can't, you have to have a reason.
Yeah.
And the doctors don't usually tell you something's wrong with you medically and don't have any follow-up.
And don't tell you.
Yeah. So I'm like, shit, I just had a flight physical like a couple months ago. I was like, oh, it's the HIV test. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Turns out the whoring did not catch up with me. So I don't know what's going on. So I go to work the next morning, and the acting first shirt was like, hey, these ladies want to see you. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't know. But just, I'm going to take you to this building.
Were they uniform ladies?
They were not in uniform at all. They were both civilians. I'm like, why?
Okay.
Just civilian clothes, rather.
Yeah.
So they're not civilians, I found out later. So he drives me to this building, and one of the ladies comes in, like, how you doing today, Sergeant Thomas? I'm like, I'm cool. How are you? Good. You know why you're here today? I'm like, no, I don't have the slightest. What's up? Just hold on a moment. I'm like, hold on. Then her partner comes in. She's a lot more, she's not as nice. Right. And she's like, do you know why you're here today? I'm like, no. There's nothing you want to tell us? No, what's going on? Is there anything happened recently? I was like, I just had my reinvestigation for my clearance. Tell us about that. I was like, I told them what was going on in my life. I was like, they know about that. Okay, fine. Well, you're here today because we know that you've been doing cocaine.
What?
Exactly. What? Like, what?
God.
And I'm like, I'm thinking this is a joke for a couple of minutes. I'm like, y'all serious? Like, yeah, we're serious. We have documentation. We have signatures. We have witnesses that you've been doing cocaine, and frankly, the commander's tired of it. And I'm like,
that's insane.
And I'm like,
what do you mean the commander's tired of it?
Like, he knows what you've been doing. And apparently, there was a string of people on the base. So
according to them. So this wasn't. Actually, I do remember like rumors of people. It was like base wide, but it's like not Air Force people. Like, yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. Like, we're tired of it. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, once I figured, I was like, oh, y'all are full of shit. Like, we have witnesses. And I'm like, no, you don't. Yes, we do. I was like, you don't have anybody. You don't know anybody. You haven't seen anybody because I've never done any fucking cocaine. I've never done cocaine. So there you go. All right. And they're just like, what? I was like, yeah. So you ain't got shit. Well, yeah, can you prove it? I was like, whatever. It's like, will you take a polygraph? I'm like, yeah, I'll take a polygraph. Hell yeah. And I was like, no, not until I was like, I ain't taking shit. I want my counsel. They're like, what?
That's so smart. Especially being that emotional,
to
be able to arrest and go, oh, wait a minute.
Well, that's paranoid brother 101. All brothers know. Yeah, I got two crazy white ladies talking about their cocaine. I should probably ask for a lawyer. Like, I don't trust you. So I was like,
that's smart, man.
And when I asked for a lawyer, the whole demeanor changed. So
wow.
Yeah.
They were trying to blind. You see that on these TV shows.
Never talk.
And you're like, that doesn't really happen. Yeah, I guess it does.
I'm just as shocked as you because it happened to me. I'm like, yeah, they played good cop. They played bad cop. And when I asked for a lawyer, that was it.
Golly.
So yeah.
Again, look at that one decision.
That's all gut.
Yeah, smart gut, man.
Life on the line.
Gee.
So that was in June. I had just gotten back from Greenland in 06. This was probably February of 07.
Yeah.
They take me off of crew.
Right.
And I have a court martial for cocaine.
Did they suspend your clearance or did they just?
They suspended it.
Okay.
They suspended my clearance and I was then prepped for a court martial. Saying that I did cocaine.
You had to have some nights like, what is going on?
Oh man, I was, of course.
I mean, mentally that had to just like
drain you.
Get crazy.
I had to have some strong faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tapped into something that was in me because I was like, well, I was right. So yeah, I'm an asshole when I'm right. So I'm like,
righteous man.
Yeah, man. They were like,
fear no evil.
I remember the one of the OSI ladies like, and we're not doing pleas. I was like, I ain't doing a fucking plea anyways. I was like,
plea?
Yeah,
you haven't charged me with anything.
These motherfuckers. I told her, I was like, I'm not doing shit. I'm not signing shit. I was like, I'll sleep under a fucking jail 5 feet before I ever agree to some shit I did not do.
Right.
So needless to say, I was up out of that building quick. So there we got it. So that was February. Had my court martial in June, and there's three verdicts I could have received. There's acquitted, which means we think you did some shit. We think you did cocaine, but we really can't prove it.
Yeah.
The other option is
that's almost like a no contest civilian wise.
Right. But that also means we can get you up out of here. We can find ways to,
Yeah, you've admitted to something.
Yeah, so there's acquitted, then there's obviously not guilty.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously guilty.
Correct.
I was not guilty, which meant that you're free and clear. In between this time, I got promoted to tech sergeant, by the way.
Nice.
So basically what happened was not guilty. Congratulations on your stripe, your promotion. You should go back to work. I got my promotion, but I didn't go back to work for a year and a half.
Because the unit drugged their feet.
Yeah, I would say
that's some kind of local retribution.
That's what I feel like it was.
God, why do you think you were caught up? Obviously, there was something going on in the base, somewhere around the base, right? But why do you think your name got drug into there?
Well,
I mean, you've had obviously 17 years to think about it, right?
So recently, I don't know how
associate
who was in the military with me at the time just told me. What's today? What year is this? 2023. In 2021, this person told me that they knew I was going to get tested.
That piss test.
Not piss test.
You were going to have, right?
Said person also called me up the night before to ask me to go out. Okay. So I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I have a suspicion now that I'm putting it all together that maybe he got in the car with some trouble and he was trying to bring other people's names in. I don't know. Could be I'm a big mouth.
Oh.
So
like a patsy situation.
Yeah. That's what I think now. This is 14 years later. So
interesting.
Or this shit could have been fucked up and they could have had
They could have like, hey, there was a 6'2" black man. I
don't know.
You fit the bill. Come on in.
I don't know if they had shitty laboratory work. I don't know. But I know what I didn't do.
Well, if they wouldn't tell you what you were being charged with initially, they're definitely not going to come afterwards and go, hey, Sergeant Thomas, here's why we thought.
Right. According to them, according to the court-martial case that I still have, Staff Sergeant Thomas versus the United States Air Force. I want to name that because I beat him.
Yeah, put that up there.
Yeah, man.
And then the verdict right next to each other.
Yeah,
nice little frame.
And
or you could burn it and just say.
No, I'm not burning. I'm actually. I got a nick. My Air Force brethren gave me a nickname after I was found out guilty at this court martial.
Yeah,
and I'm probably gonna get it tattooed. Another nickname I received is Teflon Tron. Can't stick. So I was like,
I like it. Yeah, I like it. They keep attacking.
My buddy Lucky Jones, Kevin Lucky Jones.
Lucky.
Shout out to Lucky Jones. Teflon Tron.
That's a good one.
Anyways, that's how I get Teflon Tron.
I like it.
But there is an interesting part as to how I got back to work. Did I
no, you got to tell that. So you're, let me see if I can, because we'll cut that part out. But let me see if I can. So you're not guilty.
Not guilty.
Right? Got your promotion. You're Tech Sergeant Thomas now.
Tech Sergeant Thomas.
Tech Sergeant Teflon Tron Thomas.
That is correct.
That's a lot of T's. And
I like
that. But you're doing casual duty because they haven't given you a clearance back.
Right.
So you're waiting for your clearance to be renewed.
Right. And normally I would think that would take anywhere from 3 months, 6 months to renew it if it's suspended. Right. It's not like it's initial.
So this is a squadron that works in a restricted area that pulls crew. All their people are doing crew duties. And because of this incident, which you were exonerated for, you were excluded. But in the process of this, you were trying to get your 5-year renewal for your TS clearance.
Right.
So, and the unit keeps giving you the runaround. It's like, well, we don't know what's going on with it. Right.
Yes.
And so a month turns into 6 months, turns into a year, turns into
almost a year and a half.
Almost a year and a half that you're outside the squadron.
Right. So
that's casual duty.
Casual duty. They have me working in a dorm. The dorm.
The dorm manager.
They're real assholes. They try to put me up with a bunch of young girls. I'm not stupid. I know what's going on.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good setup. Nah. So I'm working at the dorms, and so now I'm like, well, if you guys want to give me my clearance, let me apply. I'm thinking, let me apply for this dorm manager job, right?
Why not?
Why not? It's Monday through Friday. I need to do something. But they're like, we don't know. We don't know. So now it goes from we don't know to like, not only do you not have a clearance, because you don't have a clearance, we can't even let you get on the unclassed computer. I can't get on the unclassed computer at dorms. So they got this, they're trying to break my will. I'm just sitting over like a robot.
And that has that. Fair. Go ahead. I mean that unclassed computer is not. I mean,
no.
Everybody's granted a secret once you're in the military,
right?
You know?
So
Jesus,
so I can't even touch an unclassed. I've been exonerated. I've been promoted, and I'm just over at the dorms.
Yeah.
So they're treating me, in
like
my
a
opinion,
leper.
like a leper. There's an actual civilian dorm manager who has a job, and a tech sergeant who is a dorm manager, and they're on call from week to week, right?
Yeah.
So they asked me, they're like, hey, Sergeant Thomas, do you mind taking this phone? And I'm like, no. Like, well, can you give us a break and be on call? I'm like, no. It's like, do I have this job? They're like, well, no. I was like,
well, then why would I do extra?
then why would I be on call for a week?
Right.
Another sergeant came over with me. He got in a little trouble, and they asked him to take it, and he took it. And he's like,
sucker.
Tron, you're so smart. They asked me to take this phone for a week. I was like, yeah, I've had it for 4 months. I'm like,
oh my God.
Yeah, I think you know Mario. Anyways, like, yeah. So I was like, I'm not taking it. So they weren't really happy with me. But that being said, this one particular week, the dorm manager, her mom died, so she's out of town.
Yeah.
The other dorm manager, he's on leave. I come into work, and the dorm is full of full bird colonels and chiefs in the dorm, like Army, Air Force, and Navy. I'm like, what the fuck? So the new group commander who sees me, I'm the only guy representing.
Is that why they were in there? Because they were touring with the group commander?
I'm backing up.
Oh, sorry.
Let me back up. I apologize there. So that over the weekend, or the night before.
Oh, that's right. The fire alarm, right?
There was an Army guy who had a turkey baster in his dorm, not supposed to be in there. And I guess he took the handle or whatever from, not a turkey baster. What do you call it when you smoke turkeys?
Oh, you mean that propane
fryer,
thing?
a deep
fryer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
deep fryer in his
dorm room?
In his dorm. You're not supposed to have this. He was motherfucker smoking turkeys in the dorms. Like, yo, what up, man?
Yeah, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, that's he had a, so that makes him up. He is smoking turkeys in his dorm room.
Yeah.
That's a no-no. Wow. Taking this whatever he put, the container that you put the turkey in and drop it in the greaser.
Yeah.
He takes that and he hangs it up on the ceiling. And
okay.
those mercury
On the sensor?
Yes, on the sensor. Whole dorm, one half of the dorm, all these water spouts just to control flooding. If you feel like he sprays over and causes like $100,000 worth of damage. People are displaced. So because of this, all these high-ranking people are here.
Yeah.
So I'm the only guy to represent the dorms, right?
Damn.
So the group commanders, I'm showing him some of the dorms from our people who are displaced, right?
Yeah.
And he looks down and he notices my badge. He's like, hey, you work for me, don't you? I'm like, yes, sir, I do. He's like, what are you doing over here? I was like, it's a long story. He's like, I got time. And I was like, all right. Well, sir, I got accused of doing cocaine in the military. There was a court martial. The court martial came back as not guilty. And that was in June.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're shitting me. I'm like, sir, I shit you not. He's like, June of this year? I was like, no, sir, June of last year. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's September 2008. He's
Right.
like, June of 2007? I was like, yes, sir. He's like, take my card. If nobody calls you in 30 minutes, call me. But somebody's going to call you. I was like, all right, whatever, sure.
Yeah,
all right,
talk's
cool.
a good game.
I've been hearing this shit about me leaving these fucking dorms or whatever these places you guys have me working for over a year. I'm like, yeah.
Over a year.
I go sit at this desk within a matter of minutes. The phone's off the hook. Bling! It's the squadron commander. Do you need anything? I'm like, what? Do you need anything, Sergeant Thomas? It's like, we got you. I was like, I'm fine, thanks. Then the superintendent calls. Then the first sergeant calls. All kissing my butt.
Yeah.
Within 3 weeks, I was back on that floor doing my job.
Damn, I can't believe he really swung that stick.
Man, he carried a big stick, as they say.
That's badass.
Yeah, he was a bad dude. So, and then I saw him on the floor. He's like, Sergeant Thomas, you taking care of things? Stay out of trouble? I was like, definitely, sir.
God.
So that's my man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
And that's how I ended up back to work.
Yeah.
And I spent the next 2 years at Buckley, and then I got orders to Omaha, Nebraska.
God, what was that next 2 years like? Just like sandpaper every day, or what?
And, you know, I'm not a person that lives in the past.
No, but you got to endure the slings of whoever thinks what, right?
I had so many slings, but I won. I
know, right?
So I'm like, I don't give a fuck what y'all say. Like,
righteous man.
Yeah, I walk. So, and I think that's maybe why I maybe ruffle so many feathers, and that's why they kept. They were going to treat me like a leper, anyways. But I was indignant. I was very like,
yeah,
I'm not kissing your ass because I'm right. I was always professional, but I know it's right.
And you know, that's not unique to those people at that time. I think every unit is that way. Yeah. You know? I mean, I was in some Army units.
That makes sense.
A guy break his leg, can't go out to the field for a month, and he's back in the dorm. You come back and you're like, oh, have a nice fucking month off. Yeah. It's like, it's not his fault. He broke his leg. But you just do it. It's just kind of military nature. I don't want to say human nature. It's military unit nature.
Part of our culture.
You're not with us.
Yeah, it's part of the
culture. Why
culture.
aren't you with us?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Out of sight of the mind. It's
a weird thing. Man.
It's very much unique military cultural thing.
And it takes a little while, especially when you're like, I'm clean, man.
Mm-hmm. I got so many looks. I heard so many rumors. I heard I was selling crack. I had a navigator at the time. Oh, that's why I got a navigator. Because I got a navigator because I was a knucklehead and took that 60,000 bonus. Like, yeah. Navigator had TVs in it. Like, yeah. You know.
But you persevered and you won.
Yeah. That's why I didn't walk around with any grudges. I'm like,
right.
I think I even got.
And those who know you wouldn't treat you bad.
No.
Those on the periphery.
Anybody who knew me was like, what? Tron, cocaine? No. We can see him doing that. I was like, yeah, I just like, yeah, that's more of a, like cocaine. That's not my character. I'm hyper enough.
That's a lot of energy for cocaine.
I'm already hyper, bro. I had a energy drink and it's like curtains. Like, whoop. I can imagine me doing cocaine.
When'd you get your orders to Offutt?
Offutt, yeah. So I let's see. So 2006, 7, court martial. 8, I'm back on the floor. And so it's 2008, heading up on 2000. No, it's 2010. I was like, man,
damn.
It's like I've been here 4 years almost. Like I know.
Well, but that was also when they were all that critical Manning shit. And they weren't letting people go early. They weren't people. They didn't want to let people go at all. They were critical AFSC at one time. So,
but I knew I was like, they're gonna try to get me up out of here. I knew it. It was like I had 4 years. I done beat the case. I got 2 years left. I'm like, it's just 17 years in. You've been here 4 years. You're not gonna stay here another 6 years. So I started working my way to try to get an assignment. I was trying to get an assignment to Boulder actually. So
right.
I was
CTF over there.
CTF. Right? I'm working like this makes total sense. I've been in like 17 years.
Nice PCA. It's chief of the Air Force.
I could probably maybe walk into a job right after that, after retirement. Yeah. So I'm working this shit out. I'm talking to the superintendent like, yeah, we can make this happen. And about that time, I came to work and I saw I had orders for Offutt. And I'm like, yo. It's like, don't worry about it. We've been working with the assignment. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I think Sergeant McKinley came back like, hey, man, we can't get you out of this shit. I'm like, what the fuck you mean you can't get me out of this?
You're not working very hard.
I was like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I was like, I'm not going. You gotta go. I'm not going. So I'm talking to the commander at the time, the new commander, and she's like, I know the commander in Boulder. They're working it, right? Supposedly. And they're like, we just can't get you out of this, man. I'm kicking and screaming. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna sign this. I was like, I don't know if I was signing this orders, man. I had 2 daughters. I didn't want to leave my daughters, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. I'm 17 years in. Yeah. Long story short, my ass went to Omaha. I fought it, but I went.
What was your job? What job were you going at?
Oh, man. I actually loved the job. If I could have done that job in Denver.
Really?
Oh, man. That was like one of my favorite jobs in the military. Everything made sense to me for all the shit I had done at Cibers and CGS and the radars. Like,
I mean, you working at SAC or what, exactly?
I was in the GOC. What was SAC?
The GOC.
Yeah. Global.
I do remember. What was that? Tell me that term.
The Global Operations Center.
Okay.
What used to be SAC, STRATCOM.
Okay.
So
So you were seeing everything. So you're
I was
a collector.
seeing everything.
Right?
Yeah, I was a receiver of this data, and then once the data that I've been sending out for decades,
Yeah, you're seeing it.
I see what we see, and what was more importantly is I saw what we did with it afterwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that shit I can't tell you about at all.
No. Yeah, fair. But you're not only seeing SIBR sensors, you're seeing every sensor.
Seeing every, like, I took TDYs to some places I wouldn't have imagined in Stratcom.
Really? What was your best one?
I don't know. San Diego was pretty cool for 2 weeks. Nothing out of state. I went to Boise, Idaho for a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah?
Went to Tucson a couple of times.
Yeah.
San Diego. Tucson was a shithole. I was very disappointed. San Diego was pretty dope. So,
Nothing overseas?
Nothing overseas,
Huh.
man. 21 years.
Capone didn't need you over there?
No, I'm trying to think where did they go? No,
Man,
yeah. So that was it. I joined
that's
travel.
a pretty good last assignment.
It was great, except it was in Omaha.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, came with them all, but there were worse places for sure.
You get promoted to master out there?
I wouldn't have got. This is the hindsight. I would not have gotten promoted if I wouldn't have gone to Omaha. So I'm still in Denver, my old stomping ground. Know this place too well.
Yeah.
Omaha, I was like, fucking bullshit. I gotta make master.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just buckled down.
Really?
Yeah. The first time I was there, I got there in 2011, tested, and I missed it by 8 points. Right. Next year, I think the score went up 8 points.
Oh, it did? The cutoff?
The cutoff went up 8 points higher. I know actually. You needed a 3, this was low back then.
Yeah.
Like a 340 to make master.
Okay.
I had 340.08.
Really? Which means you had 400. Doesn't matter. You're in.
I'm in.
You're in.
One test,
You're over the line.
One question wrong, it wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
They were
Look at that.
They were calling. Some guy was calling. One of the colonels was calling. Did he take his PT test? Did he? Da-da-da. They're like, this motherfucker cannot be a master sergeant. They were awarding people. I might have ruffled some feathers, but they didn't come to congratulate me until 5 o'clock after duty hours. Two other people, it was 2 o'clock, middle of the day. Congratulations.
Yeah.
At 5 o'clock, they came to the ops center. Sergeant Thomas and everybody was in the ops center. I'm like, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That'll work.
yeah, and then I made my master sergeant.
Very good, man. Very good.
And while I was there, I think I hit 20, and I had been talking to.
So tell me the story that you pushed the button on.
Yeah. So I was in.
Because you're at 20. You can retire.
I can retire, but I still got kids got to feed.
Yeah.
I had a 9/11 GI Bill. Now I knew I could transfer it over to my children.
Yeah, that's nice too.
But they were like, in order to do this,
You got to extend.
4 more years.
I got caught in that too.
Yeah, I didn't do it the right time, so I had 4 more years, right?
Right.
So I'm like, all right, well, if I just get these orders to Buckley or Boulder, I'm cool. I had talked to the guy. I was like, hey, he's like, so what do you think, Sergeant Thomas? It's like, I want to go back to Buckley or Boulder.
Sure.
That's easy. I was like, all right, hey, not Colorado Springs, man. You send me some Springs orders, I'm not going. He's like, yeah. This is text message. The emails were.
Yeah.
So I think I went on leave for a little bit, come to see my kids, and I go back to Omaha, and I got an email, and it says, congratulations, Master Sergeant Thomas. You've just received orders to Changeover Air Force Base. Click yes to accept, or you could click the 7-day option to retire. 7-day op.
God.
I'm out this bitch, man. I'm not going to Colorado Springs.
Yeah, that's enough.
Not only am I a space baby, I'm a space baby with 21 years who never did an assignment in the Springs.
That's
almost unheard
right.
of.
You're a unicorn.
Mm-hmm. But I was like, fuck this. I'm going back. So I retired.
What were they going to send you? Like GPS?
Streamer.
No, I mean like GPS or...
Nope, nothing cool like that.
Oh, no?
Nah, it was
Like
like
DMSP or something?
No, it was some type of some office.
Oh.
Yeah, like
Not even a real ops squad.
no, it was like maybe a superintendent or some shit. Like they needed some slot to fill. It's like, no, I'm not going to Streamer. I'm cool. Maybe if they would have said Pete, Nick, no,
Yeah.
I punched. Best decision I made, I think, too. So
Well, it sounds like even though you've been subjected
oh, bless you.
to right at the cliff, right? You've been pushed right to the cliff. But the decisions you've made landed you a pretty sound career,
Yeah.
right? Who do you think influenced you the most during your career?
God.
And you think about it. You know,
Man, I don't know if
these
that's
aren't-
one
these aren't-
person, man. There's so many people.
Well, give me 2 or 3. You know, that are like, damn, I'm glad I knew that guy. Or that guy gave me sound advice. That guy led me the right way.
So you fall into this, but not heavily. You know what I'm saying?
I hope not. But thank you, man. I appreciate that.
You make guest appearances. I refer to you as like I'm telling you, man, you like a little Jiminy Cricket, like Tron, chill out. You just pop up out of nowhere. I swear, you didn't know this, but the times I needed to hear it most, he's like, hey, man, you know, I was in the Army for a while, and we just kind of treat people different. And I know what it's like. You know, you just pop up, boop. Real shit. Man,
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Steve Williams. Steve Williams.
Yeah.
That was my supervisor, man. He was just a good-hearted dude, and I really felt like he cared about me.
He was sound. He wasn't giving no emotion. He gave good advice.
He was,
and he cared. Yeah,
and he cared.
That's the one thing I remember about him too.
And
He was technically sound. God, he was good. He was a good mission crew chief. Wow.
Yeah, just overall good dude. So he was an influence on me. Another Steve is an Australian Flight Lieutenant Steve Henry at the time.
Steve Henry.
Also, just a common sense guy, super smart. And I would have ran through a wall for that dude.
I agree. Yeah.
I felt like he cared about me. I would have did anything. So.
He could build a team.
Yeah.
Without like kissing your ass.
Without kissing your ass.
Yeah.
And he would tell me when I was fucking up, when I needed to hear it.
Oh, he did.
Oh man. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
And those people don't get mentioned about me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like real friends.
Is that tough? It stings.
Huh?
It stings when you hear that from. It's like, oh.
That's part of being a man.
But that's the only way you grow.
Okay.
Right?
I had a lot of shit happen to me in the military.
Yeah.
And honestly,
you could have pitched that.
I could have been a victim. I could have fuck that, man.
Yeah.
It's a manhood, and like I said, this shit is a brotherhood. It's about being accountable. It's about growth.
Right.
I'm so much of a better person. For as much as I gripe about the Air Force, I'm so much of a better person because I joined it.
Sure.
Best thing I ever did was join the military.
Yeah.
Second best thing was retire. So, yeah. So those guys stick out to me, Steve Henry and Steve Williams.
Yeah.
For sure. But
When you run into those guys and you realize how rare they are,
mm-hmm.
you know, especially over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, God, there's 2 guys that I can remember really made an influence. Everybody else kind of humdrum, you know, or worse.
For as many people I had throwing darts at me, I had a lot of people advocating for me too. And that's the thing I realize now.
Yeah.
There's a man who almost
Sometimes you don't see it.
You don't see it
until
man.
later.
You get out of that lens and you can like look back like, you know, I could have been like, oh, they were out to get me. But
Sure.
But for that side, I had somebody like, hey man, we got you on this. So it's all part of the experience. And I'm super thankful for it.
What's your proudest moment?
I don't know, man. I feel like my children used to get they thought I was the bee's knees. I remember my older kid, she dressed up in a flight suit for Halloween and shit. I want to be an Air Force doctor or just, I really think like, I kind of take it for granted because I was in it. But I think my children looking up to me like, Dad, you know, that's my proudest moment about being in the military, that my kids think it was a big deal.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, this is another purpose, right? How old are your kids now?
26 and 23.
My daughter's 27. She still don't know what I do in the military.
Oh, they don't know.
She knew I was in the military, right?
Yeah, they don't know a lot of that stuff. They know a lot of that dad was crazy in the military, and like, you had crazy military friends. They know Uncle AC.
Don't define your dad by the guys you hung out with.
But the fact that they think I did a lot is that's pretty great for me.
When your daughter puts on your cap, you know, when they're young, and they try to do that salute, he's like,
boom, boom, boom.
Oh man, you got me. That's great.
I love it. And I was like, you guys can't join the military, but I'm glad you think I'm cool. Like if you go to college first, then
Smart.
If you want to go to the military, fine, but you know, I'm not letting you go off the street.
Yeah.
So
Air Force Master Sergeant retired Teflon Tron Thomas.
all right.
It's been an honor to get your story today, man. That's been a blast. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mark.
On behalf of Master Sergeant Thomas, I'd like to thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the shout. If you did, please leave a like and a comment and share the podcast with someone else. And as always, make sure to download the next episode for more service origin stories. So until next time,